All right, guys, good morning. Good morning. Testing. Let's make sure our microphone's on. Good morning, guys. It is 8:47 a.m. A little early this morning. We just got the CPI number, so we'll go and break it down. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of G.A.R Capital. Your humble host, ready to go over the market and see where we go from here. Okay, let's go ahead and go over the futures. Dow futures are up 453 points. NASDAQ up 2.49%. S&P futures at 4,200, 1.85%. I did have S&P futures short. We signaled that as a hedge, but we kept a tight stop. I personally held, and all good. I mean, the insurance didn't pay out. That's fine. I can live with that. This is a very nice thing to see, and we'll go over the chart here in a second. Russell, 1950, up nearly 2%. Crude oil is flat. Gasoline futures up 0.40%. Gold, 0.44%, 18.20 an ounce. Bitcoin soaring, 23,985, up 4%. Ethereum up 7%. Euro dollar up 122 pips, 103.34. Dollar yen, 132.92. And am I missing anything? 10-year yield sinking, 2.699%. Dollar index, 1.27% to the downside. We're going to go over that. That's the big one. And the VIX down 5.24%, 2063. Let's go over the numbers. CPI, as you know, we went ahead and posted that. Let's go with the month over month actual, which is 0.03%. Excuse me, month over month CPI, 0.0%. The forecast was 0.2%. The previous is 1.3%. Wow. That's really helping. Core CPI year over year, actual 5.9%. The forecast was 6.1%. Last month, 5.9%. So the core has been side by side. But the CPI actual, core CPI month over month is 0.3%. And that was better than forecast. So let's just be honest. That's a great report. We just didn't know what the hell was going to happen. But if you are an investor, you're a happy one today. Okay, so let's kind of go over first a couple of instruments that I watch daily, as you know. Let's go start with the dollar. Okay, the dollar. We had that trend line to the downside. I've been saying since a couple days ago that we're going to revisit this trend line below, and we did. So, yay. So great. Now what? Well, we have a base here at 103.73. If we can stay below 105, that means equities have all this to go higher. Now let's pivot, no pun intended, to the S&P. You now have broken out above this resistance here. Now where do we go, Carlos? Well, the megaphone formation is still there, obviously on S&P futures. We did break above this level here, and we talked about the dollar. If the dollar can stay below 106, or I believe 105, excuse me, 42.98 is in play. And if that's in play, the 200-day right at 43.28 is in play. That is, again, within the megaphone setup. So if this CPI, again, we could always have revisions, better than expected, good sign. Now that we know that, there is no Fed meeting this month. We do have Jackson Hole, which is a central bank conference, I believe at the end of the month. But other than that, on September, middle of September, we do have Federal Reserve meeting. We may get 50 basis points because less than expected CPI, great. But remember, they do also look at core PCE. So we still have more data to come in. And next week we have retail sales. So, every week is something new. Let's just be completely honest. The level that we need to break is 42.02. Again, that's pretty close. Let's see if we can clear that. We'll place an alert. If we get to above 42.05, that's when longs need to be played because that's where you're looking at going to around 4,300, 42.90. The only issue is that it will not be a straight shot. Why not? Because we have OPEX next week. OPEX is option expiry, tends to be a lot of volatility. All of this here really, guys, is a lot of people were short. People are still short, pessimistic in the market, which is fair. I mean, there's nothing to be really optimistic about other than the CPI number. And earnings were okay. Not great, okay. Better than feared. So again, now we're taking a look now at what's the next possible step, 42.05. We'll wait for that break, and then we'll go to around 42.98. We'll have about 90 handles to play with. that's a pretty good level for the S&P for us to play a lot of individual names. Let's go to the 10-year yield. Remember, we talked about this setup, which was the head and shoulders setup. So the head and shoulders setup is a bearish setup. It was looking like we were going to test at least the shoulder, if not the neckline here. But again, at least the kind of the top end or the bottom end of that shoulder, we're rejecting now. So again, I'm still long bonds, TLT. Again, that moves inverse of TNX. So you could see here 27.17 bouncing a little bit, but the real key level we're looking for here, guys, 25.75. If that does break down, that's really going to help equities and give that backdrop. So again, the equities backdrop that we want is lower dollar and lower yields. We need it to be cheaper to borrow. That's really it, especially when liquidity is very dry. You need to have some kind of access to money. So let's go ahead and take a look at TLT. This is the 20-year bond ETF. Here's the level I'm looking for. This is a gap fill, 119.48. Again, I still own it, so I'm still holding it. But again, really the level we're looking for is around 121.50. We'll go to the 4-hour chart, see if there's anything we can take a look at that. Break above 119.46. I'm going to start taking a look at possible calls, buy some time, maybe a month or so. Take a look at those 122s. TLT should have some volume on the call side on the 122s. I'd buy some time, 3 to 4 weeks, keep the risk relatively in check with what you usually do, and then just go from there. But again, we need to break above 119.50 to do that. That was the previous, this was a gap fill, I believe, on the daily. Let me go ahead and make sure. It was a gap. Oh no, it was just resistance, excuse me. The gap fill is actually right up here at 134.24. So I do like TLT if we go ahead and break above 119.50, and I would trade the 122s. That's really what stands out to me at this very moment. Let's go and take a look at the volatility index. The VIX coming down, as we know. And what have I always said, if you've been a viewer of this show or video, is that below 20 on the VIX is bullish. It is. I mean, you can't fight it. So we're knocking, getting close. So let's go and place an alert here at 20. If that does break, we may accelerate even higher. I hate to say the bottom is in because there's so much more stuff to go. Let's not go crazy either. Again, 42.05, if we can break that, then that'll give us a little bit of leeway, and then we could start using our previous resistance as support. Let's go and answer some questions. Thoughts on Apple? Well, Apple's going to be green, that's for sure. Apple looks great on the 1 hour. If you can break above 168.18, let's go and place an alert together. Again, that'll coincide with 42.05 S&P. Remember, Apple's above the 200-day, guys, on the daily. That's pretty strong. You could target 171. That's your next Fibonacci level that we have on the daily, top to bottom. We will be touching the 78.6 or the 23.6, however you want to flip it. But again, either way, 171 would be the target if we break above 168.18. You think this is all bull trap? ES need to break above 4,200 and get there? Absolutely, it could be. I mean, it could be. As of right now, again, I'm scouring the data to make sure that, the S&P kind of or what other news are out there that may not be as strong or may be a headwind. So again, I would want to go long here as of yet. Break 42.05. Your support here is 41.86. Now that was our previous resistance. So again, we're just going to flip that. I'm not willing to just run outside and throw a victory lap as of yet. Let's wait for the market to open. Obviously, owning TLT and owning stocks feels pretty good right now. And owning some crypto feels pretty damn good right now. Would you agree? Any trade I like? The one that stands out, I like Apple. I like TLT. I still have some Qs. Let me see if I can salvage those things. Let's see if we can break above 326.47. I still have Boeing. Boeing is moving higher. Again, kind of very similar to the Netflix we played last week, where Netflix was just down 75. Held it, and that thing hit 100% profit. I didn't get 100% profit. I had 80% on my runner. But again, a nice test in patience. What's going on with Roblox and Coinbase meeting expectations with such a high percentage? These are the names that are growth names. Keep in mind the forecasting is based on last year's numbers. 2021 was pretty good for Roblox. 2021 was pretty good for Coinbase. And again, we need to see these companies that have a relatively high market cap or high multiple. You got to show us some growth because you're not paying us a dividend. You're not giving us any kind of shareholder value other than your growth. And if you miss, then what's the point of owning you? Hence Coinbase and Roblox, but they are bouncing today. All the high beta names, guys, are going to soar if the S&P soars because they move in a percentage higher as the market. Hence beta. A beta being at 1 or 0 would move coinciding with the market. Anything higher than that, it's going to move exponentially higher with the market and inversely exponentially lower. Thoughts on NVIDIA? Saw some heavy volume in the 180 calls yesterday before the bell. Well, what has Nancy Pelosi been doing over there? Well, we do have resistance here at 179.39. Not a bad call. They'll probably catch him. But really the level I'm looking for is to break 180.29 and see if we can revisit those highs of 190 on NVIDIA. I like NVIDIA stock. I do too. I own it. Love the company. I'm still green on it. I've owned it for a while now. So again, I'm definitely not in a rush to add more or go ahead and sell any, obviously. So again, it's just really just waiting. Again, guys, the CPI number is great. I'm not going to sit here and say it's bad. It was a fantastic number. The NFP number, fantastic number. Does it sound pretty bottom-ish? Kind of, sure. But let's see what the Fed does. Does the Fed pivot? Does the Fed lower rates slower? If that does happen, we'll go higher. If the Fed is really about that life and raises even higher to even kill inflation even more, we're going to go lower, pretty much. Remember, the Fed is the house, guys. The Fed is the house of the casino. If they don't provide chips, nobody's playing. And if they're providing chips, meaning printing money, everyone's playing. So the Fed is the Fed is the Fed is the house. Always remember that. Very important. But all around here, at least on the numbers, I'm looking at the CPI levels. Let's go and take a look at by category. Wow. Motor fuel down, fuel oil, commodities down. Remember we talked about commodities being down. Airline fares down on CPI. The thing that stood out to me that jumped the highest, rent, 0.7%, lower than last one. Cereals and bakery products are still elevated. I do love Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Fruits and veggies, still elevated. Non-alcoholic beverages and beverage materials, up 2.3%. So that's up. Anything else that stands out? Electricity, lower, but still up. Lower than last month, but still up. So, I mean, it's a great CPI number. The only thing I worry about is this real? Is this a real CPI number? Obviously, we don't want to get a little conspiracy theorist. We're just going to go with what we got, obviously. Rent did go higher. Yes, rent went higher, pretty much in line with what we had before. Thoughts on Musk sell? He's going to buy Twitter. I mean, you signed the document. He's going to buy Twitter. He's basically selling to make sure that, hey, I just in case I have to buy Twitter. So he's just pretty much hedging his bets, I guess you can say, in regards to Twitter. He's going to be probably the brand new owner of Twitter. And I bet Twitter is going to be pretty much soaring today, pretty strongly, up about $2. Sure. Yeah, about 5%. So Tesla moves with the market, as we know. For the most part, as part of the S&P. Break about 900. You could take a look at 950. I think there's better options out there. I'm not saying Tesla's bad, but again, in terms of edge on a chart, there isn't much here unless you're trying to get above 900 and then 950. But if you go for this week, you're definitely putting some risk on the board. So again, we didn't break the highs of 42.05. The market has not opened. So really just waiting around here for the next 30 minutes, guys, to see where we at. So 41.86 was our previous resistance. That is now our support for now. And we're just going to go by that. So listen, guys, great number. I'm not ready to say we're at a bottom. I'm sorry. I hope I'm wrong. But again, there's still a lot of moving parts. Microsoft. Again, a nice pop. Let's see if we can break above. Take a look at this. See the 4-hour chart? See if we can break above this resistance of 291. That's resistance there. If we can break above that, that'll be great. Bring up the daily. Are we above any meaningful moving averages? Yeah, I mean, 292, if you could break that, you could target 295. There's a gap to fill right here at 295 as well. So again, once you break above 290, then you could start playing the 295s if you like. Maybe the 285s as well. It just really depends on the price action on Microsoft. Levels to buy on Amazon and Google. The stock, again, I'm not buying any stock here, especially when the market's up. But if you're talking about options, just going options here. That 200-day, guys, is resistance right now. So again, 145.55 is what I'm looking for on Amazon on the daily. There is a gap to fill here from earnings. That could always fill, so be careful. And then we have, I think I have another one here, Google. Let's take a look at the hourly. Now, I'm pretty sure Amazon did go higher. 120.95 is my alert. If that breaks above, definitely you're going to see Google head higher, possibly to 125. So I've actually liked Google a lot more than Amazon in terms of the setup. Next level of resistance for Qs. I have an alert above 326.47. Once we get there, 337 it should be next. Maybe short-term support right resistance right around 330. Very similar to an S&P chart, at least on the 4-hour. Let's take a look at the daily. Daily, remember we're 324, so we need to keep that in mind. So we're right around this spot here. We are not above the 200-day yet. Apple is. We have a gap to fill right here, guys. 359. So we just have to wait for 326.47. That's really it. I'll be the first one to say that this was a very surprising report. That's great news. And all we need to do now is see how the market responds. It's not the number, it's always the response. So we'll leave it there, guys. We started about 15 minutes earlier. So again, if you're joining me right now, usual time 9 a.m., don't worry, we'll talk about this more. I'll be doing an Instagram live today after the bell. And we'll answer some of your questions. Always fun with you guys. Any free trade? Well, keep an eye on Twitter. If I see anything a little sexy, I'll definitely send it out. I also had a couple of DMs from G.A.R Capital stating that they like the charts on Instagram. So if you guys like more charts, like that cup and handle setup, again, if you guys like these charts, remember, we're here for you. Without you guys, there's no reason for us to do this. So again, we'll put up more charts, more analysis, all the stuff you guys love. We'll see you guys later on today. We'll call it, if we're not going to do, so we won't do an aftermarket recap. We'll do an Instagram live. We'll start at 5. So 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be on Instagram live, answering your questions live, going over some charts, all the fun stuff. I'll catch you guys later then. Let's make it a great day. Happy Wednesday. Congrats for the investors that did not panic sell at the bottom, for right now anyways. Your patience will be rewarded. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.